Out in the vast emptiness of space, lifeless matter drifted for billions of years. Planets formed, oceans filled, lightning cracked through thick clouds. But nowhere does life just pop into existence. If you strip life down to its very core, what is it, really? Just atoms. Just chemistry. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. No different from the molecules in the air, the rocks, the stars. And yet, here we are, thinking, breathing, questioning our own existence. If life is just molecules, why can't we mix the right ones in a lab and create it from scratch? What are we missing? 4 billion years ago, Earth was a barren, chaotic world. No DNA. No cells. No life. Just raw chemistry. And yet, something changed. Molecules didn't just react, they started organizing. They began copying themselves. They started evolving. This was the moment chemistry became biology. The moment lifeless molecules took their first step toward life. But how? What force pushed these molecules over the edge? Was it a cosmic accident? Or is life an inevitable outcome written into the very laws of the universe? Today, we dive into one of the greatest mysteries in science: how lifeless matter became alive. Before life could emerge, the right ingredients had to be in place. 4 billion years ago, Earth was nothing like the world we know today. It was a planet in turmoil, oceans boiled, lightning crackled through a toxic sky, and meteorites rained down, carrying strange materials from space. Crucially, water was abundant, providing a medium for these reactions to occur. But despite the chaos, something crucial was happening. The planet was mixing the essential elements needed for life: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and so on. These weren't just random chemicals. They were the raw materials for something far greater. Think of it like baking. You need the right ingredients. But just having the ingredients doesn't make a cake. They need to be combined in the right way. In the 1950s, two scientists, Stanley Miller and Harold Urey, decided to test whether Earth's early conditions could create the molecules of life. They filled a chamber with gases like methane and ammonia, mimicking Earth's early atmosphere, then zapped it with electricity, just like ancient lightning storms. After a few days, something incredible happened. Inside the chamber, new molecules appeared: amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. Life's ingredients had formed from nothing but gases, water, and sparks. This experiment showed that life's raw materials weren't rare or special. They could form naturally, given the right conditions. But forming molecules is one thing. Turning them into something that can grow, adapt, and reproduce, that's a whole different challenge. To go from chemistry to biology, something more was needed: arrangement. And that's where things get really interesting. Life isn't just about having the right molecules, it's about organizing them. If you pour oil into water, it doesn't just mix randomly. It self-organizes, forming droplets. The same thing happens with certain molecules in the right conditions. One of the most important molecules in this process is lipids. These molecules naturally come together to form bubbles, tiny, cell-like compartments. And this was a game changer. Why? Because a bubble isn't just a random shape, it's a barrier. It protects whatever's inside, keeping the outside world separate. This could have been life's first primitive cell wall. But life isn't just about separation, it's about patterns and structure. And nature has a way of organizing molecules into something more. We see this all the time: patterns emerging from simple chemistry. Crystals grow in precise shapes. Snowflakes form intricate designs. And molecules naturally arrange themselves into complex structures. Take proteins, for example. They start as simple chains of amino acids, but in the right conditions, they fold into precise 3D shapes, forming structures that can perform tasks, like breaking down food or copying DNA. Slowly, step by step, molecules weren't just floating around anymore. They were forming structures. They were building systems. They were laying the foundation for something incredible. That's when chemistry took a major leap, when molecules didn't just organize, but started copying themselves. And that's where we find the real spark of life. At some point, something changed. Molecules didn't just organize themselves into structures. They started copying themselves. This was the first true spark of life. And one molecule was key to this transformation: RNA. You've probably heard of DNA, the molecule that carries the blueprint for all life. But before DNA, there was RNA. And RNA had a unique ability. It could store information and copy itself. A primitive version of reproduction. While DNA is a double-stranded molecule, RNA is single-stranded, making it simpler and potentially easier to form in early Earth conditions. Imagine if you had a book that could rewrite itself automatically, making copies every time you opened it. That's what RNA could do. It carried a simple code and could make copies of itself without any help. And this isn't just theory. Scientists have actually shown that RNA can form spontaneously in the right conditions and even start copying itself, just like it might have billions of years ago. Now, put this self-replicating molecule inside a protective bubble, and suddenly, you don't just have chemistry anymore. You have something that looks a lot like the first living cell. These primitive RNA-based systems could have been life's first prototypes. Simple, fragile, but capable of something extraordinary: evolution. Because once molecules could copy themselves, evolution kicked in. Tiny changes, mutations, would mean some molecules copied faster, others more efficiently. And over millions of years, only the best survived. This was the first real step from lifeless chemistry to something capable of changing, improving, and surviving. In a sense, this was the moment life truly began. But to truly thrive, these early life forms needed a way to fuel their replication. Life had something remarkable: self-copying molecules. But survival required energy. Every living thing today, plants, animals, bacteria, needs energy to grow and function. But how did the first life forms get theirs? One theory points to hydrothermal vents, deep-sea cracks releasing hot, mineral-rich water. These acted as natural power stations, fueling early metabolic processes. At first, it was just chemistry. But some molecules got better at capturing and storing energy: primitive metabolism. Like solar panels converting light, these molecules trapped energy to grow and replicate. Then came a breakthrough: protective membranes. These enclosed energy-harnessing molecules, allowing them to work more efficiently. Instead of floating freely, they were locked inside tiny, bubble-like structures. And this was the first step toward life. Primitive cells emerged, improving over millions of years, until life as we know it took shape. From simple molecules to self-replicating bubbles to the first true cells. This is how chemistry became biology. Life began as a fragile, microscopic bubble, the humble ancestor of all living things. For a billion years, it remained microscopic, drifting as single-celled organisms in primordial oceans. A turning point came when cells cooperated, forming the first multicellular life. This leap was driven by two key innovations: photosynthesis, allowing organisms to harness sunlight, and the rise of eukaryotic cells with complex structures. This cellular revolution unleashed a surge of diversity. Some cells evolved to capture sunlight, giving rise to plants, while others developed movement and perception, leading to animals. The Cambrian explosion followed, filling ecosystems with complex life competing to survive. Millions of years later, a new survival strategy emerged. Not speed or strength, but intelligence. The ability to learn, communicate, and question the world set humanity apart. Yet, this curiosity traces back to those first self-replicating molecules. Every thought, discovery, and dream connects to that ancient spark of life. We are not separate from the universe. So the next time you look in the mirror, remember, you are not separate. You are a product of the universe. You are chemistry, who wakes up, eats, thinks, sleeps, questions, and continues to evolve.